look into the Vedas, there is one kind of drink which is called the soma. That is
Mm,
basically intended to connect you to the souls which is been passed before you, and a sort of you to make you to understand the immortality, how it
yeah.
works, how you can come to that core. So this particular drink soma, there is a lot of mushroom is been used in that particular drink actually. This is
You
what I
think?
understood. I read it in
Really?
Atharva Veda. Yeah, Atharva Veda is a particular book which
Yeah.
speaks about medicines and how all these kind of things is being used. Datura, right? Like it is being
Yeah.
offered to the Lord Shiva. Like
Yeah.
Datura is a psychedelic which is available everywhere in India, that can take
Yeah.
you somewhere near to death, and that
Really?
is being offered to the Lord Shiva.
Mm,
So
okay.
I think it is been used, but nobody has been studied. Like mostly because most of these texts are in Sanskrit, and this
Mm,
Sanskrit is very hard to understand. This is
okay.
one problem.
Well, that
Yeah.
sounds like a job for AI. AI is really good at deciphering old languages.
Yeah, most of the thing. But the problem with the Sanskrit is one single word is it can have multiple meaning. For example, the
Mm,
Hebrew, when they translated the Bible, there is a lot of problem has been happened. They
yeah.
didn't translate it exactly what AI also will struggle in that way, because we human beings only made AI, right? So it
Well,
can be
AI
able to
is
do.
actually really good at the underlying pattern recognition that it's very difficult for us to hold sort of more than like
Mhm.
11 different nodes at once. So whenever you start thinking, well, it could have said this and that affects the downstream, and then that could have said this and that affects the downstream, it's really difficult for us to hold the different permutations of
Mhm.
what that could mean. But AI is excellent at making all the different variations of what something could mean, and then isolating what is sensical and what's nonsensical, and it may present you with 10 different versions of what the thing could say. Whereas
Mhm.
if we were to interpret it, we just get lost at, well, the one word could mean 10 different things, so
Mhm.
we don't really know. So AI is really good. I think it's going to help us.
To
It's
decipher,
interpreted
yeah.
quite a bit that we've been unable
Mhm.
to interpret, and just like whenever DNA became
Mhm.
something that was more affordable, then you get all these new scientific breakthroughs, and you get lots of new information because you have the ability to use it. I think same thing's going to be with AI. You push a button and allow it to go to work, and it will do the work. It'll get there.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah.
So yeah, I
Yeah.
think the soma is really an interesting one, and I think that what I do understand it is soma is based on Amanita muscaria. That's the red and white one.
Mhm.
I'm pretty sure that most people would be familiar with it, but I've read quite a bit about it. Um, I wonder, do you have this mushroom growing wild in India? And you must have this mushroom growing wild in India because, as far as I know, it is grown
And,
wild everywhere in the world. So let's show you Amanita
mhm.
muscaria. You'll know as soon as you see it. But this is what
This I
what
saw. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I
yeah.
saw. Yeah. This is
So this
also psilocybin.
not psilocybin. It's a different compound. Um, and there are two different compounds in this mushroom, and one of them is believed to be quite dangerous.
Mm-hmm.
Ibotenic acid and muscimol are the couple of different compounds. So muscimol is one that I think people recognize as being quite um, trance inducing. So you get like
Mm-hmm.
loops of reality. And then ibotenic acid is GABAergic, and it gives you like really good rest, anti-anxiety, but causes like almost like psychedelic visions in your sleep.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm.
a couple of different compounds that may be functional in this mushroom, and that I believe are related to so many different folk tales and cultural tales around the world. You can see red and white, the origin of Santa Claus, Reindeer love to
Mhm.
consume this mushroom, and that it's said that they get high. So flying reindeer and Santa Claus, that's an
Mhm.
understandable myth or story. People in the areas where these are found under pine trees, and
Mhm.
you would collect them and hang them on the branches of the pine trees to dry out so that you could save them. You can imagine
Mhm.
these decorating a pine tree is very much like a Christmas tree. Also,
Mhm.
there's the tale that these are collected by shaman in some Siberian
Mhm.
nation, where it's in the time of year where it gets really snowpacked. They live in yurts, and the yurts have a central smokestack, and often the snow would
Mhm.
pile higher than any door, so you would actually enter and leave the yurt through the central smoke hole in the top. And if you had a shaman
Mhm.
who was actually drying out these mushrooms over a fire and would come in and
Mhm.
collect and change out the mushrooms, they would be crawling in through the chimney. So you get, the correlation to some sort of a figure like Santa Claus climbing down the chimney to remove or to take the gifts or to leave gifts, those sorts of things. You get lots of different tales that can come out of this, that a lot of people accept. And then also, these grow in the time of year, down here, where it's close to Easter. And,
Mhm.
these are growing underneath the trees in the forest. You go out looking for very brightly colored um, Easter eggs, essentially, because this mushroom actually has an egg form.
Mhm.
Amanita muscaria egg. You see, if I look that up, I just pull up the image on that egg form. Oh, I accidentally clicked too much. Amanita muscaria egg,
Mhm.
and then pull up. I'm having some internet flow here, but you can see these mushrooms
Yeah.
grow inside of an egg. And these are amanita mushrooms that
Okay.
are growing inside of an egg form. So you can see that they might be the progenitor of a Easter egg story. And they're
Mhm.
the what was her name? Ishtar, related to Inanna, this
Mhm.
old mythical pagan myth that turned into Greek myth. Ishtar took the
Mhm.
form of a dove, but then she would
Mhm.
in spring take the form of a rabbit, and the rabbit remains to
Mhm.
have the ability to lay eggs like the dove. So the Easter rabbit who lays Easter eggs,
Mhm.
Ishtar bunny. There's so many overlapping stories. And one more of this mushroom, the Amanita muscaria, is the origin of the phoenix. Have you heard of the fabled phoenix?
Yeah,
So
it will the bird phoenix, it will come
the
out from the
bird in
fire.
flame, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
So this mushroom grows through lots of different stages, and
Mhm.
you can see it grows quite fiery, and it goes
Mhm.
through reds and golden colors, and it actually spreads its wings, and it spreads the two sides of its cap up high, and essentially the spores become the smoke, and the spores then would birth the next egg, which would then
Mhm.
be the phoenix
Mhm.
rising from the ashes. So it's, so many different cultural tales come from this mushroom alone.
Mhm. Mhm.